Our learning targets today are 9A. Explain how the development of new technologies changed the world from 1900 to the present.
Here are some key terms to understand for this lesson. The Green Revolution was increased awareness of climate change, which led to more environmentally friendly energy sources.
Genetic engineering. Genetic engineering is a new discovery where you can change or control the genetic makeup of material or organisms. The idea originated from crossbreeding. Assembly line. Assembly lines made factory production more efficient and required less skilled workers.
Antibiotics helped control some infections, such as penicillin, which saved countless lives during World War II.
Space race. The US and USSR were fighting to a superior space technology, which drove many new inventions like LED lights.
Climate change awareness. Scientists started discovering some of the negative effects of industrialization, such as the ozone depletion.
Nuclear age. This caused lots of nuclear-related innovation, including large-scale reactors, which became an abundant source of energy.
The communication revolution changed how we communicate across large distances, as well as how news became available nearly instantly to the public via radio and television.
Reusable energy. Technology such as hydro and wind power led to a more environmentally friendly energy resource.
Automated machinery. Towards the end of the 1900s, this has been taking over assembly line jobs and jobs too dangerous for people to do.
Radio waves. Radio waves sped up communication and also allowed for new technologies such as radar and sonar.
The age of fossil fuels is a period in the 20th century where fossil fuels like coal and oil provide most of the energy for the world.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is LCTV2 News. I'm Michael Pirrie and this is Alex King. We're here at UCLA where new forms of advanced communication breakthroughs have just been invented.
The Cold War has been going on for a while and currently communication is limited to phones and radios. This looks like a big development of communication. Back to the studio for more.
Now let's take a deep dive into some of the major developments of communication within the past century and pull apart their details, why they were made, what their purpose was, their inventors, when they were invented, where they were invented, etc. First invention we'll be looking at into is the telegraph, which has subsequently led to the telephone, which has greatly improved the modern day. The telegraph is one of the first things that allowed cross-continental communication without having to send mail, and it was a lot quicker. They placed telephone lines across the ocean that revolutionized communication. A telegraph is a device that allows people from all over the country to be able to access this instant communication, something that had never been done before. It was made by Samuel Morse in 1832, but was never successful and popular until the lines were placed down. Then it became used around the world. It was made originally for military purposes, for base-to-base communication, but it ended up being a more communicational device for the public. Another device that was revolutionary for communication was the internet. The internet was super important because it helped bring cell phones, which can communicate without any telegraph phone lines. And it helps research things faster or give us instant knowledge at the tip of our fingertips with like our phones and computers and stuff like that. The internet is a global network that connects all computers, phones, servers that all communicate with each other as one. The internet was invented by Vincent Cerf and Bob Kahn. The official birthday of the internet was January 1st, 1983, but it has improved much more since then, becoming a lot quicker, more accessible, and just more useful overall. And it has improved much since then. The internet was invented for a new way of government researchers to share information with one another. Another group of innovations from 1900 onwards is communication. One innovation in communication is the internet, which was founded in 1983. The interconnection that the internet provided had two main outcomes. Information was now instantly available to anyone. It created a platform for people to communicate in large groups over a network, setting the stage for social media and its pros and cons. And it led to new forms of education, communication, and it has become so integrated in our society that many vital systems would not allow work without it. Another invention under the communication category is the cell phone, which was made in 1992. The cell phone originated from the telegraph, having kind of the same purposes, except the cell phone used cellular networks and internet to communicate instead of phone lines. It evolved into corded phones and then became based on a cell signal. Introduction of cell towers allowed people to communicate from anywhere, anytime, as long as you had enough signal. This connection allowed people to speed up societal development as collaboration was much, much easier. In this segment, we will be talking about the different innovations in the transportation industry and why they are still important to their time. The first innovation in the transportation industry we'll bring up is cars. Cars are quicker, more energy and time efficient, and very, very popular in today's society. Before cars, people used horse-drawn carriages, which were very, very slow and weren't good at all in weather, and could sometimes be traumatizing for horses pulling the wagon. The actual definition of a car is a motor vehicle with wheels. The motor vehicle was powered by gasoline and is used to transport people or things to other places at a much faster pace. Cars became so successful that countries started putting them out in the battlefield, which made it somewhat safer to go from base to base across the field as long as you didn't drive on a mine. Cars were invented by Carl Benz, which you might know from Mercedes-Benz, the car company. And they were first made in Germany in 1886, but they didn't start becoming popular or at all that useful until the 1900s when Ford came out with a new type of engine and came out with a supply chain, which increased the production of cars dramatically, making them cheaper and making them more appealing for people to buy. The first commonly affordable car was the Ford Model T in 1908. All cars have progressed in leaps and bounds in engine efficiency and safety, such as the seatbelt and the airbag from keeping you from flying out of the car when you crash. It started to use electric batteries as a result of the climate change from CO2 emissions from gas combustion engines. So that leads to the Tesla and other electric cars starting to be made and purchased more. And then the individual transportation is critical as cities expanded, creating longer commutes to get from place to place, and it gave people freedom to live away from their jobs. And so it made a lot more people get a car so they could use it. The next innovation in the transportation industry we will be talking about is the plane. The plane is another huge part of transportation because they take you anywhere, oftentimes that you can't go by traveling on land. If you wanted to go to Hawaii the fastest way possible, you'd have to take a plane there, not a car, because a car would sink and a plane's a lot faster than a boat. Militaries would attach guns on the planes and would use them in warfare, creating a whole new branch in the military known as the Air Force, which is centralized almost completely around planes. That's why it's called the Air Force. Planes were made by the Wright brothers in 1903 in North Carolina. Planes were made for quicker transport of cargo and people and other things like that. These planes revolutionized into commercial planes, which people started paying for travel to work, vacation, and family, which greatly impacted some of the economy and now known tourist cities where they make money off of tourism, because without planes, then less people would go to their cities and their economy would fail. All right, the next form of transportation we'll be talking about is commercial jets, aircraft, and space travel, founded in the 1950s. With the introduction of the jet engine in World War II, companies wanted to find a way to profit off of it, and the way to profit off of it is to get more people to buy it, so they instead made a commercial flight which could take people anywhere they wanted to for a lot faster and cheaper than they would have if they had to drive all the way across. The Boeing 707 became the first jetliner in 1858 where people could start riding it. People could now travel long distances not coverable in car, and in large number led to increase in tourism and tourist developments. Some places became known for their tourism, whereas they made their money from resorts and gift shops and attractions and stuff. The space race, the US versus the USSR, led to many inventions in all fields: freeze-dried food, memory foam, LEDs, wireless headsets, but most importantly led to the placing of satellites in the orbit. The satellites became key cogs in the system of communication and gathering information.
Welcome everyone, this is Michael Pirrie, my sidekick Alex King, live from Chicago, where the global spotlight shines as the first nuclear reactor amid the ongoing arms race as World War II unfolds.
This has the potential to transform warfare, but more importantly, transform energy sources from fossil fuels to more efficient methods. Back to the studio for updates.
What's up, brothers? Thank you, Mikey. And we are here on December 20th, 1951 in Akron, Ohio for the breeder experiment. Idaho was the first place to start with nuclear energy, and this really paved the way for the rest of history and the energy on how we use it.
The next topic we'll be talking about is energy, but specifically nuclear power, which was made in 1942. Nuclear power came to be in World War II when making the atomic bomb, or that was in the Manhattan Project. They found that nuclear reactors yielded a huge net energy gain, and so they wanted to capitalize off of this energy gain and make more power for everyone else. Reactors can create energy much more efficiently than fossil fuels, which is even better because fossil fuels aren't helpful to the environment, and it's less waste, except sometimes you get a Chernobyl disaster, but whatever, so it's more environmentally friendly overall.
And another innovation in the 1900s was on the agriculture side of things, which included pesticides, herbicides, and FDA-approved things, which are also called GMOs. And these really improved the aspect for plants and crops, which kept them stronger.
GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, are organisms that have their genetic makeup altered to have certain traits. In plants, they include insecticide, insects that eat the plants will be killed and die, and genes that make it less likely for the fruits will die. Increased yield of 30 to 80% in some crops are able to feed a growing populace of people and make it safe. Reduced needs for pesticides, which are more harmful than GMOs, and it allows crops to grow where they couldn't before and cut down on expenses. So it allows crops that usually aren't in that environment to be able to grow in that one. Innovation in the medical field was biotechnology, made in the 1960s. Biotechnology exploits natural biological processes to humans' advantage. They include genetic engineering of plants. They produce new drugs and therapeutic substances for pharmacies. For example, a blood cell production stimulants, growth hormones, and clotting factors, etc. Now we will be talking about the tractor, which was established in 1892 in the agricultural field. It used a gas engine to go both forward and backward, the first time in history, making farming much, much more efficient by helping plow crops and helping just harvest crops in general. It made agriculture much less labor intensive, which had a huge effect on the U.S.
Hello viewers, I'm Pirrie, and this is my sidekick, Alex King. We're reporting live in the field for LCTV2 News. Just in, universities around the country, medical technology is advancing rapidly amongst the start of World War I.
With new vaccines front and center, this has the possibility of revolutionizing the medical practice. Back to the studio for more.
What we also see from biotechnology is the increase in vaccines and antibiotics, which are preventive treatments for bacterial infections and diseases. Vaccines took off in the early 20th century and were an innovative way to treat diseases and infections. These included the polio vaccine and more recently, COVID-19 vaccine. These innovations, which have come recently, have already saved hundreds of millions of children and adults alike.
Also, a lot of innovations in the medical field, one of them being vaccines. New and scientific knowledge allowed and improved more vaccines to be produced. The vaccines included the typhoid vaccine in 1889, the Spanish flu vaccine in 1918, the influenza vaccine in 1945, the measles vaccine in 1963, the mumps vaccine in 1967, and the smallpox vaccine in 1980.
I want to first start off with the transition to muskets, from muskets to rifles. One big difference between the two is that muskets only held one bullet, while rifles hold upwards of 12. This led to larger casualty counts and warfare.
The next technology we will be talking about is military, but specifically rifle technology. Rifles became able to shoot many times without reloading versus one-shot guns used before. They became semi or fully automatic. The advancements in rifle technology made conflict much deadlier and especially prevalent in terrorist attacks, and they do a lot of damage quickly. So they became very popular in the terrorism aspect of it all.
Another big difference was the introduction of planes and submarines into warfare. While planes would attack from above, submarines would go deep underwater. Planes would cause more civilian casualties on land, and submarines would cause more civilian ships to go and sink.
Yeah! Please tell me you got that yeah part. Okay.
I don't need to do this. I'm gonna say Michael Pirrie.
No, you don't.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Should I say that every time?